Project Eagle. The challenge is to design and build the largest, most technologically and environmentally advanced cruise ship in history. The melding of steel, electronics, parts, and crew is nearly done. It's close, but numerous delays have caught up with the promise of the ship's delivery, and there is much more than finishing touches to do. It appears that nearly everything is behind schedule. Tensions run high. This will be a race to the finish. Hundreds of workers will stay on board for the Atlantic crossing. I'm Roland Smith, and in this concluding episode of our Voyager story, you will see how this city afloat comes to life. Voyager of the Seas is just a few weeks shy of leaving the shipyard in Finland for the final time. She passed her sea trials with only minor mechanical work to be done, and is now poised to make her way to her home port in Miami. But there is still an unexpectedly large amount of work to do. The devastating ship fire and many other unforeseen complications have thrown into question whether or not the ship will be finished by the time it reaches Miami. In an effort to catch up, the shipyard calls in reinforcements, and the pace of the work intensifies. The only thing that is certain is that there are nearly 3,000 passengers already booked on her maiden voyage to the Caribbean. The countdown has begun. The shipyard isn't the only place where people have been fighting deadlines.
In the group 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, and then we're...
For several months, director Mark Dow and his team of choreographers, vocal trainers, actors, and technicians have been creating original productions for the 1,350-seat La Scala Theater.
I'm sure I started working on this easily a year and a half ago from this point. So it'll really be 2 years from the time we probably really first thought about stuff to the time that it's done.
When you first come out, do give me...
The music is months and months of work. The video is months and months of work. The costumes are months and months of work. And we work 6 days a week, and we work 10 hours a day, and it's all to get the choreography and to get the vocals down.
Mark, a veteran cruise ship show creator, was selected to put the show together.
Start rotating around on the turntable.
The selection process for the performers was very competitive.
If they're an amazing singer, guess what? I can just do this. If they're a mediocre singer, you have to live inside somebody's limitations. Because the truth is, what I do with them is going to only go to their level. So then we do this audition tour that takes us to Chicago, takes us to New York City, it takes us to Sydney, Australia, and takes us to London. So we pull people literally from all over the world. Get the best singers, get the best dancers, and what you end up with is this United Nations cast.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the country in Los Angeles, the ice show rehearsals are also in full swing. Theatrical shows have a long history on cruise ships, but the ice team in LA is entering uncharted territory.
We have experience with stage performers, we have experience with dancers, we don't have experience with ice skaters, so it'll be very interesting to see how compatible they are with the ship environment, which is very important, and how they are compatible with the rest of the performers on board the ship.
We've only had 2 weeks rehearsals. This is the first time with costumes, and they have an audience. I know I've got new kids in, so it's, people that have never performed in a professional show before.
The performers aren't the only ones being put through their paces. At the Star Center in Florida, the Voyager bridge crew has been undergoing rehearsals of a different sort. The officers, from captain on down, are subjected to an intensive training program in a bridge simulator that is an exact replica of the one on Voyager.
Good morning. Good morning, Captain. My God, close to Lavadi. Close to Lavadi. With the range and distance to the mooring board.
I would say it is about 1,200 feet, maybe.
Royal Caribbean thought it was important to create a full replica of the system so that we can train in every aspect of the operations. As far as the level of detail of training, we have modeled every port that is on the Voyager transit, and even though these officers have not taken delivery of the ship, during this 10-day course, we would have sailed into every port that's on their itinerary. So they'll be fully comfortable with the procedures of going in and out of those ports with this particular ship and this particular equipment that we see here.
Try to establish a reasonable procedure and checklist for a watch relief for the Voyaager bridge.
Creating a training curriculum for a ship this unprecedented in size and technical sophistication was a top priority for the cruise line.
You come through the door, what are you going to do first? What are you going to do second? Think about it may be dark and your eyes haven't adjusted to the darkness yet.
Royal Caribbean appointed veteran captain William Wright to create the program.
The decision was made a long time ago to develop a ship-specific simulation program for the Eagle class vessels, primarily because they were going to be unique in almost every way. Not only the size, but also the propulsion system, the AZI-pods, representing brand new technology for passenger ships. In fact, it's pretty new technology for ships of almost any type. The control systems are going to be different, so I think it was fairly obvious that to man a ship like the Voyaager with qualified officers who are competent to navigate her safely, you'd have to devote a lot of attention to giving them the hands-on training for this type of vessel and the specific propulsion systems that she'll have.
Voyaager of the Seas, good morning to you. This is a Sealand Achiever.
The simulated scenarios are far more grueling than anything the officers would experience at sea. Behind the scenes, a team of what are called distractors control the exercise by manipulating weather, traffic, communications, and technical problems.
We'll take this tanker and we'll have him come to port. To go around this guy? Yeah, and ask him if he can.
One of the biggest causes of accidents is that people have a great situation awareness when they are relaxed, but as soon as the stress comes up, their concentration comes down and focuses. They get what is called tunnel vision, and that is the cause of most of the accidents. When a man gets tunnel vision, he does not realize what is going on around him, and then the inputs start increasing beyond his capacity to deal with them.
252, 3 mile on your 4/4. Captain, you read me.
Yes, I certainly can. Our position is north 2017.2. Yes, Bridge?
We increased the communications, we increased the targets.
This is Tanker Galileo. We would like for you to stay clear of our vessel.
Bridge, Staff Captain.
Go ahead, Staff Captain.
Yeah, I heard something about yellow condition. Is something we should know, Captain should know?
We're really busy up here.
Howard and Roberto were giving them more and more stress, till finally it reaches their load limit, their human capability limits, their capacity to handle it. So they called one more person on the bridge. Now we are raising the level up once again in order to keep the stress level up. The aim of this exercise is for them to realize which are their weak points.
So he either has to keep going this way or try to cut in between the two.
What is this one we have on the, that's the one, it's the stop there?
That's in the boat. I have a red light on number 2 and yellow light on number 1.
If you have a target, he identifies.
At the end of the exercise, Captain Wright gathers the crew for a debriefing.
You came up, you certainly were trying to help him, there's no doubt about that. But you were involving yourself in every aspect of it, so it was not clear to me who had the con. But that's why we do these training exercises, right? To simulate events like this.
The marketing of Voyaager is also in full swing. Pre-selling cruises to passengers without a finished ship to show them will require an innovative marketing strategy.
I'm used to having a sample to market, and this product isn't finished yet. And we've got some real neat marketing programs that we're doing. We have a virtual Voyaager experience that we're taking on the road starting the beginning of August, which is a 53-foot semi-trailer that will reach 19 different cities. And in those 19 different cities, people will have a Voyaager experience.
4 weeks prior to the departure, Voyaager's crew begins moving onto the ship. The hotel, dining and kitchen staffs, technicians, and others were brought over early for orientation and training. Adding 1,200 crew to the already overcrowded ship, is creating a situation where everyone is competing for workspace.
You're involved on a work site that has millions of people all actually applying their trades, and you're one on top of the other, and you have to give way, you have to be tolerant.
Progress continues at the shipyard, but there are still deep concerns about whether or not the ship will be ready for the Atlantic crossing. At this point, most areas on the ship still require extensive finishing work. The team installing the golf course works at a furious pace, fighting the clock. Each hold is prefabricated at a factory in New Hampshire and then shipped to Finland for installation. The holes are rolled out onto the dock, where they are carefully lifted and installed onto the sports deck. The departure is now imminent, but before the ship will be allowed to set sail, it will have to be certified by the Classification Society and the U.S. Coast Guard, who sends a team from Miami to ensure that the ship conforms to U.S. maritime safety standards. The inspections cover every system of the ship, with a primary focus on safety procedures and equipment.
All right, good, that's fine. You can cut that.
It is now 24 hours before Voyager of the Seas is scheduled to leave Turku. It's been decided that several hundred additional workers will have to stay on board for the crossing to continue unfinished work. There is no other choice if the ship is to be ready for her maiden voyage in 3 weeks. Before she can leave, however, the shipyard must officially turn over possession of the ship to Royal Caribbean. There are 3 aspects of the handover. First, a temporary safety certification, valid only for the crossing, must be approved and presented to the cruise line.
These are the key documents. This is what really counts. Okay? This says we've been checked a few hundred times to make sure we comply with a few hundred rules and regulations.
Next, more than $250 million, the balance due for the ship, must be transferred from Royal Caribbean to the shipyard. Last-minute negotiations stall the contract signing.
Whenever we go through one of these things, it's always you're down to the last minute, you think you're there, it should be over. Now I'm just ready to do it. Now we're sort of standing around and waiting, and there's nothing terribly important that seems to be happening, but we don't own the ship yet.
The contract signing is delayed for several hours while the cruise line and the shipyard hammer out who is responsible for the remaining work. At last, the papers have been signed and the funds transferred.
So, thank you, Richard.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, of course, the event must be commemorated in a fashion befitting the Finnish love of ceremony.
Are you prepared to take delivery?
Yes, we are, with pleasure, happy to take delivery.
Lower the flag of Finland and the flag of Välimasajats.
Ankkurit nostakaa, maa jäädä saa. Jos pilvet taivaan peittää, aalto hurjin laivaa heittää. Aina on huoleton, maa jäädä saa. Ankkurit nostakaa, jo aamutuulit purje pullistaa.
Voyager now officially belongs to Royal Caribbean. She is scheduled to depart in the morning. But a last-minute decision is made to postpone the departure from Friday evening to Sunday morning to ensure that the ship has all the necessary supplies on board to complete the unfinished work.
Seems to be all right. Doesn't move.
The day has finally arrived. Voyager of the Seas is now poised to leave her home and make her way across the vast unprotected waters of the Atlantic.
Seems to be coming up.
In the pre-dawn hours of a cold October morning, Captain Pedersen gives the command to Staff Captain Zini to slacken the lines.
To stern, at this time you can let go the brass line.
As Voyager pulls away, Explorer, her sister ship, will soon be floated out to dry dock to take her place at the finishing dock, and the process will begin all over again. Assisting Captain Pedersen is senior port pilot Kuvalainen. Kuvalainen acted as captain during Voyager's sea trials. Because of his familiarity with the ship and the local waters, he is the natural choice to assist Voyager's officers in navigating the tricky waters of the Finnish archipelago.
We left Turku 7:56 local time.
The captain eases Voyager away from the dock.
All lines are clear.
Because the water at the dock is so shallow, a fleet of tugboats is used to tow her out to deeper water, where she'll then operate under her own power.
30 meters off, but
15 meters or 20 meters from the ground.
Speed is decreasing.
Despite the early morning departure and the late autumn chill, the townspeople have turned out to bid her farewell.
I have decided to go a more southerly route, and I expect to have fairly good conditions all the way across. It's important for us to have good conditions. About 1,050 of our people, they are not necessarily seamen, they are hotel-related people, and the motion of the ship could affect their work and training very much.
The captain has carefully selected a route that will take Voyager from Finland to the Baltic and North Seas, through the English Channel, where she'll pass into the Atlantic Ocean. She'll sail through the Azores and then make her way across the open ocean toward the Bahamas to her final destination, Miami, more than 6,000 nautical miles away. Work is proceeding, but it's become apparent that more workers and parts are needed. Off the coast of Denmark, Voyager rendezvous with local tenders to bring aboard additional workers, tools, and materials. It's a process that she will repeat 2 days later in the English Channel. En route to the Channel, Voyager will face an interesting challenge, passing under the Great Belt Bridge.
It is very important that we pass the bridge in the center of the bridge. If we come too far out on either side, we will not have the necessary clearance and will be, of course, stopped.
The Great Belt Bridge, at its highest point, is 210 feet. Voyager's highest point is 214 feet. So the captain must ballast the ship down in order to pass safely under the bridge. Captain Pedersen orders 18 knots of speed, which lowers the aft area even more. She squeezes by with only a few feet to spare. Work continues all over the ship, on every area, at a hectic pace. During the crossing, much attention must be focused on safety training. Royal Caribbean safety officers will devote their energies on extensive fire and rescue drills.
See as we go down how much less it is. We fight fire, number 5.
Today we're looking at the mobile group training, and our mobile groups are our firefighters on board the ship.
Let's go down on the deck like we normally would for fighting fire. See how they can get there.
We have 7 of those groups on board. We take them one at a time, and today is our mobile group number 3, and we're going through hose handling techniques. We're showing them the new nozzles that we have here on Voyaager of the Seas, and they're practicing advancing on fires, retreating from fires, and we're going to advance from there. They're all old hands, they've done this before, but not as teams. So basically what we're doing is team building. You're going to have to adjust that yourself.
Cutting-edge technologies like these high-tech fire helmets have added a new dimension to onboard fire rescue.
Stay low, make your entry.
The helmets, which cost about $25,000 each, allow the rescuer to see a victim through thick smoke by using thermal imaging technology.
The engine spaces.
Royal Caribbean brings in experts to get the fire crew up to speed because mastering this technology requires in-depth training.
Now, what you do is, between your thumb, once you have the V in your sight, the thumb and your fingers, you want to line up whatever you're trying to grab inside that V.
You're going to make a search, go in through the door, do a right-hand search around the compartment, okay? Inside there is a hot water bottle about that big. I want you to bring it out, okay? Can do.
The true test of fire readiness is the Bravo drill.
Nice and low for now.
Safety officers, without any warning to the crew, create a simulated fire emergency by placing smoke generators in undisclosed locations. The smoke triggers sensors that alert the bridge, which is the tactical command post. The captain calls the shots by first dispatching officers to verify the location and the scope of the fire.
Okay, the safety officers on the way, close all the doors on the area.
The captain then scrambles the mobile groups by using the ship's general PA system.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
All mobile groups, report when you're ready at your stations.
Message to all employees, this is a full emergency drill. Full emergency drill. All officers step into your emergency station.
The fire doors and the watertight doors are closed, and a general alarm is sounded. This is the cue for all passengers and crew to don their life vests and report to their muster stations.
972.
Yes, right here.
1268.
The mobile groups, meanwhile, put on their gear and report their status to the bridge.
Proceed to the forward lobby on deck 5, that will be the station area.
The captain dispatches each mobile group to a strategic position to fight the fire.
They're on their way right now. Mobile group number 6, we are ready.
Because there is no room for error in a real emergency, the trainers cut the fire crew's little slack.
Go up, out. We don't have a leader. We're going in now, we're going to stay where you are.
Hands together, or there, and we drag. Don't waste time for stretchers. He needs air quickly.
And as he crosses over, like, yes, okay, and it's a very dodgy one to do, yeah? Okay, now you've got access.
At the conclusion of the drill, the officers and mobile groups gather for a detailed debriefing. This was the first run-through for the Voyaager crew. They will have to do it over and over until it's perfect. The U.S. Coast Guard will give them their final exam in Miami.
It's unrealistic.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Testiryhmän 7, testiryhmän 7, 1, 2, 1, 2.
On a typical cruise, Voyaager will serve between 15 and 20,000 meals a day. The majority will be served here in the 3-level main dining room that seats almost 2,000 people. It requires tremendous organization to run the largest dining room afloat.
And the welders will be responsible. So that means once the station is clean, I want the welder to check with the head welders. Any question? Is that clear?
The maitre d' spends the time during the crossing getting the dining room and his multinational staff up to speed.
It's a lot of training that goes behind the scenes. We have to train before we open. We did ask for the volunteer first, considering it's a big ship. And then we have hand-picked people that we need, like experienced people, different languages, 4 or 5 languages. So we do need this kind of people because we have an international guest. So we have to be able to communicate and wait on any guest that comes over here. That's important.
So now, don't you listen, 2 per mirror or 2 per...
Fine dining is the quintessential experience in cruising. The cuisine is expected to be gourmet. This is a considerable challenge for Voyager's kitchen staff. The kitchen staff during the crossing prepares meals for the rest of the crew as if it were a real cruise. Feeding close to 5,000 people every day while maintaining quality is a daunting task and one not taken lightly.
We are all in total 210 members in the galley working for everything. So it's quite a lot. Of course, we have a 24 hours operation, which includes the room service, and also the Johnny Rockets will be open for 24 hours. We do cook everything fresh here on board every day. Nothing is pre-cooked. We're starting in the afternoon to prepare everything for the dinner. So we try to keep everything fresh as possible in the last minute to bring out. This makes the product very fresh, and also it is a guarantee for us to have the best taste.
For the dining room staff, Voyager's immense kitchen and dining area will mean plenty of exercise. The food is stored below decks in a series of large refrigeration chambers. Enough food is brought on board to last for the Atlantic crossing, which is about the same as a typical week-long cruise. More than 500,000 pounds of food and beverage, including 20 tons of beef, 28 tons of vegetables, and 70,000 eggs. Of course, the unprecedented amount of food and passengers presents a rather large waste management issue. Everything that is recyclable, glass, aluminum, and cardboard, is sorted and processed. Voyager has a state-of-the-art sewage treatment plant on board and has created the position of environmental officer to monitor systems and enforce regulations. Voyager was designed to exceed all international environmental standards. All cruise ships discharge processed water back into the ocean. The water discharged from Voyager is treated until it's almost the equivalent of distilled water. Voyager creates all of its own fresh water. 3 onboard desalination plants produce more than 500,000 gallons of fresh water a day for use in everything, from laundry, kitchens and cabins, to jacuzzis and the ice rink. The quality of the water in making the ice for Studio B is a critical factor because of the risk of cracking from the natural movement of the ship. There is no blueprint for an ice rink at sea, and it was difficult for designers and engineers to predict just how the ice would react to an unstable environment.
Everything is moving, bending, contracting, shaking. On top of that, we make ice, which should not break. On top of that, we have a floor system that shall host many different events, from rock and roll parties to basketball. And on top of that, we have this here, which is a telescopic seating system. One of the problems we have had is that we have not had the patience to follow the proper routines when bringing the floor out on the ice. The floor is warm. And when you put a warm thing on the ice, it will melt into the ice. And that happened with this floor system. Didn't have the patience to wait, cool down the floor until the proper temperatures were reached. That's happened a week ago, and the floor simply got stuck, frozen to the ice.
The ideal temperature for the ice is 19.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Because the rink is situated on a lower deck, it is constantly subjected to heat from the areas surrounding it.
Literally, we are making ice on a frying pan. We have a corridor under the ice where you have steam pipes, you have subtitled temperature up to 35 centigrades. We have an engine room producing a lot of heat. It's not so easy to make ice on top of all that heat.
The ice is holding up well, but unfortunately, that's not the case for some of the skaters. Voyaager's course takes her directly into the path of an oncoming storm front and heavy swells. Ordinarily, the horizontal stabilizers would be deployed to smooth out the ride, but they also slow down the ship, something that Voyaager cannot afford at this point. The motion of the ship takes its toll on the crew.
Well, they were sick for the first 3 days. I had a bunch of green girls drinking Sprite and eating soda crackers. They'll get their sea legs.
5, 6, 7, 8. Elena and Val, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, one more time.
We're not taking it easy out here because we're on a ship or copping out because we're on a small surface. We're going to go for it and give you the tricks and give you that athletic element.
My first thought was how anyone was going to skate, and the first day was a little strange, but you get used to it and you learn to deal with it. The worst part is not necessarily jumping or spinning, because you kind of expect it then. It's when you're just standing there and you're off guard, and the next thing you know, you're into the boards or on the ice.
Further complicating matters for the ice show is a risky flying sequence. The skaters, suspended by a remote-controlled wire harness, are flown across the ice as part of a routine. During a rehearsal, one side of a harness breaks loose, leaving the skater dangling precariously. Her fellow skaters rush to her aid. She is shaken, but returns a few minutes later and continues the rehearsal. Technical problems and the unfinished state of the entertainment venues plague both Studio B and La Scala Theater rehearsals. Construction delays have thrown production schedules severely off track. The show staffs are working on very little sleep. The strain begins to show.
The clock is ticking. 1 week from today, we're in Miami. We're in the middle of the ocean. And it's making a lot of us sweat a little bit.
The only way to really do it was to start a 24-hour schedule on the 15th of October. And we got here on the 15th of October, and not only wasn't there a 24-hour schedule available, the shipyard was still building in the theater every day between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m.
Tempers are getting a little frayed here, and people are getting a little more demanding. When someone tells me reasons why we can't do something, I said, that's not good enough, we have to get it done, find a way to do it. I don't have to hear what happened or why you can't get this key or why that light doesn't work. Just figure out a way. That's your job, man.
We're late easily by 7 days late. And this particular show that we're working on now, Rhythm and Rhyme, it's a Broadway show. So as far as lighting, this show is not going to be really hard to tweak.
All right, guys, let's go. Places.
What's going to kill us eventually is the next show, Dreamscape. Dreamscape is really textured. It's going to take a lot of time to cue lighting-wise to be able to make it match the choreography and the music and all that stuff. So I feel a little pressure right now.
The highlight of Dreamscape is the Silk Act, a risky flying routine where the performer is not secured by any safety harness or cables.
Where they're lifted straight up into the air, they do all these really strong poses up in the air. finally they literally just shoot out over the audience, out over the first number of rows, and at the end literally fly above the audience and it flutters behind. It's beautiful. It's really hard and it's kind of dangerous. There's nothing in that fabric except for the fabric.
The days of the old-style wheelhouse are long gone. Computer-based navigation and monitoring systems have revolutionized bridge operations. Wind, currents, traffic, and navigational data are continuously monitored. A complex program interprets the data and determines the course. The officers on watch check the displays and verify the accuracy of the information.
What you see right here is the voyage management system. It's a computer-based means of planning or chart work on computer rather than on paper charts. So in here we have all of our electronic charts, and then fed into here is all of our sensors for our position, our compass, our speed, and we're able to do all of our planning and our navigation on the computer screen.
Computerized control from the bridge isn't limited to ship navigation. Officers control a myriad of functions throughout the entire ship.
This screen here is our, what we call our MOS screen, our main automated system screen. It is basically a monitoring system. It's fed into sensors throughout the ship, and it can tell any multitude of things from our propulsion system, our bilge, ballast, and heeling controls, fire system, diesel engines, our air system, so you can fill and dump our swimming pools from here, power management of your main engines, and many other things.
There's no doubt that advancements in technology have made cruising safer. But is safety compromised by over-reliance on automation?
If we lost all of our power and or all of our computer capabilities, we still could use, we have magnetic compass on board still, and we have a sextant, and we would be able to continue a voyage even if we lost all of our electronics.
Separate from the world of paying passengers is another hidden world, that of the crew. Most of Voyager's crew are only allowed access to passenger areas when they're on the job. However, during the crossing, when off duty, the crew are encouraged to experience everything aboard just as the passengers will. The restaurants, shows, spa, bars, even the casino. Additionally, Royal Caribbean has dedicated an unprecedented amount of space for the crew.
There is more gross tonnage dedicated to the employee environment on board the Eagle ship than the entire size of the first ship that this company launched, which was the Son of Norway.
Voyager has a staff assigned to focus specifically on matters relating to crew activities and morale. 1,200 crew from more than 50 different nations make the job challenging.
Basically, there are several roles that I perform. First, I inform the crew of what's happening throughout the ship and throughout the fleet through a crew's compass or through information offered on the crew television station. I also offer counseling and guidance for new crew members in particular who are just new to the environment. But really my biggest role on board is to organize events for the crew and to get them involved in making decisions about how their facilities are best used. Things like the crew club, the officers and staff club, the aft deck where we have 2 jacuzzis, our gymnasium for aerobics and our gymnasium for weights, our international reading gallery, and something that's kind of new for us, the internet cafe with 7 stations.
The feverish pace of the work has paid off. As the crossing nears completion, so has much of the work. Areas that only 2 weeks ago were unrecognizable now reveal their true form. But there is still work to be completed. One of the last tasks will be finishing the installation of the ART. The ART had to wait for many of the areas to be completed before installers could get to work. And there was plenty of it to install, more than 4,000 pieces valued at $12 million. The centerpiece of the collection is called the dancer.
This is the main signature piece for the ship, and it's designed and constructed by Larry Kirkland. Effectively, it's a huge disc in the ceiling of the atrium from which the cables are suspended, the elements are attached to those, and it's all collected into this large basket arrangement here down on deck 3. The large disc at the top is heavy section aluminium, which is pierced, and then the steel cables are suspended from that.
The variety of the art covers a wide spectrum of styles. Classical and contemporary sculpture, oil paintings, frescoes, even mosaic. This very complex atrium piece, designed by the ship's architect, took the full 2 weeks of the crossing to install. The extensive art collection is worthy of any museum. After nearly 2 weeks at sea, Voyager approaches her home port, Miami. The placid waters of the Channel are a welcome change from the rough seas of the Atlantic crossing. She is greeted by the media, spectator boats, helicopters, and the curious. Voyager of the Seas is home. She must now be ready to meet the public. There are tons of debris which must be removed, and every inch of the ship will have to undergo an extensive deep cleaning. It's a tradition for a ship to have a godmother. Voyager is the first at sea with an ice rink, so it's only natural that two-time Olympic gold medalist Katarina Witt serve as her godmother. As part of the festivities celebrating the maiden voyage, she will star in a network televised ice show taped on board Voyager, featuring many of the world's best-known skaters. It's also the godmother's responsibility to preside over the official naming of the ship.
On behalf of our board of directors and our 20,000 employees, it is my pleasure to extend a warm Royal Caribbean welcome to each of you. I am very pleased that you could share today in a celebration of one of the proudest moments in the history of our company.
I'm very happy to be here tonight with all of you and name this beautiful ship. I'm especially very, very honored to be the godmother of the biggest cruise ship in the world. I named this ship Voyager of the Seas, and bless all of you who sails on it.
I'm an athlete.
It's been more than 3 years and 10 million working hours, all in anticipation of this moment. Voyager has welcomed her first paying passengers and now sets sail on her maiden voyage to the Caribbean. Any doubts that Voyager would not be ready for her debut have been laid to rest. The vision has become a reality. She is the grandest ship afloat, a marvel of human ingenuity and achievement, more than fulfilling her promise of a vacation like no other on Earth. We have seen the evidence of creation. We have seen a grand idea manifest into a great ship of grace, grandeur, and beauty. The Voyager of the Seas is not only a triumph of global cooperation and visionary design, it is a lasting tribute to the ingenuity and genius of humankind. I'm Roland Smith.